So if you followed the instructions in the quiz, you would have created the word class. And Android Studio helped us out by auto-generating some code for us already. All right, so first in our word class, we declare it as publicly accessible. That way other classes like the numbers activity would be able to access and use it. Also here, I've added the java.comment comment already above the class declaration to explain how the word class is meant to represent a vocabulary word. So notice that it contains an English default translation and a Miwok translation for each word. Hence, we'll need two fields for the state of the word object. Default translation, which is the word in a language that the user is already familiar with, so for example, English. And secondly, Miwok translation, which is a word in the Miwok language. So both of these here, notice, are private because we only need them to be accessible from inside the class. So by convention, since they are private member variables of the class, we add a lowercase m to indicate that. And the m is added to the start of each variable name. So next we need to create the constructor, which takes in two string parameters, the default translation and the Miwok translation, and then set these values for our two fields. So in order to create a new word object, the caller has to pass in these two required inputs. Remember that the constructor has to look like a method declaration, but the name has to match the class name exactly, which in this case is word. And remember that it has no return type. So lastly, we'll add two methods which will be marked as public, so that classes outside of the word class can access these methods. So first is the getDefaultTranslation method, which will return the default translation of the word, whose return type is string. So it won't accept any parameters because its sole purpose is just to return information. Our second method is getMiwokTranslation, and it'll follow a similar format. So notice that it returns the Miwok translation of a word, which is a string data type. Now remember to add comments above each method to help people who are reading your code better understand what to expect from each method. So we could have added two setter methods to allow the two strings to be changed by an outside caller. However, for the purpose of this app, once we create the word object, we don't expect the English or Miwok words to change. Hence, we won't provide setter methods to modify the state of the word object. So when you create a class, it's entirely up to you to decide what methods you want to expose to the outside classes. All right, so there we have it. Here is the word class defined in its entirety with the declaration, state, constructor, and methods. Now, great work on defining your first custom class.